This how-to is for the removal of the two main side panels on a 2017 Ducati 959 Panigale with underslung exhaust. To remove the fairing, you'll need three metric-sized Allen keys, a 4mm, a 3mm and a 2.5mm. In some cases, it is easier if you have hex keys that are shorter due to clearance issues. With the different sizes and lengths of the bolts, it's also a good idea to have some sort of organiser to put the bolts into so they're put back into the correct locations. Okay, for the two outsides we use the 3mm. And for the larger ones, the 4mm. These are actually a hollow nut in effect. And now the shroud should be able to remove quite straightforward. Okay, first of all, we've got this small hex head screw that sits at the top of the fairing. Inside is the 2.5mm hex key to undo it. Okay, I've actually got a second set of short hex keys that make it a little bit easier to get into this one. And it's quite a long bolt. We've got another one on the inside of the radiator here, on the inside of the fairing for the lower one. That uses a 3mm hex head bolt. At the bottom of the left panel there are two hex head bolts, one at the front and one at the rear of the panel where it meets the exhaust. Just got a note with these two bolts, they're actually two different lengths, so make a note that the shorter one is on the back. That's the first one. As you can see, the actual back bolt is a shorter bolt, so just keep that in mind. The rest of the bottom panel is held by these four 3mm hex bolts and this one 4mm hex bolt at the back of the panel here. I'll just undo these ones now. Note that they all have washers on them, these ones. We're now ready to take the bottom panel off, and with a little bit of mucking around it should come off. There are some clips up at the top here at the back, and also it hooks around the radiator shroud at the front, so just be mindful when you pull it apart. You hear that clip there? Okay, the panel's off. For the top fairing panel, we've got a number of clips and a couple of hidden bolts. We've already addressed one of them at the front, and you've got this one at the back. And then we've just got the cap head screws for the top. And that's done. The fairing is held on by a number of clips. There's a couple here, and there's clips also along this top trim piece, and you just got to gently pry those off. Just note this special spacer that sits in the inner panel work, if I can find it there. And we just want to make sure that we're careful removing the upper fairing and that we don't break anything. Okay, so first of all, we make sure we pull it away from where it hooks over the radiator, and then we start to find where the clips are. There's a couple here at the back. almost got it there. Okay, with everything loose, basically slide this back and down, and it comes out. You can see there's a very slight hook on this clip here that clips into the top of the fairing. Now we've got it off. When the fairing comes off, these two grommets that hold the panel in, they seem to come loose. As you can see, I had to pull one out because it wasn't sitting in there properly, so make sure you check for these and put them in properly. I've had to reinsert them.